Yes, I'm just starting the. Yes, so hi. So trying to be present to what's been happening. I got thrown out of the Google Hangout because the laptop was updating itself and shut down and started again. So that's what happened. I'm very sorry about this. Um, I shouldn't have had my eyes closed. Maybe I should have left my eyes open. Here I was enjoying spacious, still space, and the computer did its own thing, and I wasn't present to that. So my apologies for that. This has given you a time to be present to yourself and whatever arose in response to this event of the broadcast not happening anymore. I posted a link. I hope you've all managed to rejoin me. And so I was going to talk about resistance. So I'll keep it relatively brief, but it's an interesting example to use what just happened as a kind of case study. So, what is resistance? Resistance can be very obvious. It can be big and it can be obvious to everybody. Like, something's happening and your response is, oh no, not that. I don't like that. Oh God, that's awful. Or, what's going to happen? Am I going to, now I have to whatever prepare, and it's the fear response or the kind of frustration, anger type response, or the response of, oh, I'm not getting what I need. This is not okay. It's like, oh, here I was supposed to get all this connection and participation. Instead of that, I get thrown out. I mean, come on, like, what is this? So, probably most of you had some response to what just happened, to the broadcast stopping. Of course, those of you who listened in didn't get thrown out this time, I hope. Let me just check about that, just to make sure. Just to make sure. Okay. Yes. Yes, you're still there. That's good. So I haven't thrown you out yet. And I hope I won't this time. So whatever your response was, just note that probably there was an element of resistance in it. An element of, oh God, oh no, oh, this is like so frustrating, whatever it is. It's like we're programmed to respond in two ways most of the time. One is that we like what we see or what we experience, and then we want more. And the other one is that we don't like what we experience and we want to get away from it. So these are the two usual responses, and it's like that's our animal programming. That's how that's how we're hardwired. That's how our bodies respond. It's like the computer drive, you know, it's hardwired to do certain things. And unless you reprogram it, it'll just continue doing those things. So when I talk about resistance, I talk about that response to what we don't like, or what we don't want, or what we're afraid of, or what we feel is not giving us what we need. So why is that worth talking about? It is worth talking about because any form of resistance takes you away from the present experience. It's like you want to get away from what you don't like. You know, you push it away. There's something uncomfortable. There's something not satisfying. Something that you know, like I was talking to Scott yesterday about why people seek, you know, why people go into any of the things they're addicted to. It's because it gets them away from what's uncomfortable, what's not, you know, what's not a good experience for them. So resistance is worth noticing in all its forms, because that's what takes you out of the present moment. And as we all know, you know, you're all spiritual types, so you've all heard it. You know the slogan, be here, be present, be in the now. But how do you do that? Well, my experience is that if you know what takes you out of that present moment, then it's actually possible to spot that, and it's possible to make a choice. You know, it's like you can see what takes you out of it, and you can choose to let that go. You can choose to let the resistance go. In my own life, and spiritual journey and quest, at some point, actually quite late into it, it's not that long ago, I'd say it's about maybe 5 years ago that I started noticing that I was resisting pretty much everything. And, you know, some of the resistance was pretty obvious. And as I went along noticing the resistance over the years, the resistance got more and more subtle, because the more obvious forms of resistance I'd learned to kind of spot and let go of. But the more subtle it gets, the less obvious it is. And obviously, you know, probably everybody starts with the most obvious forms of resistance. So how does that work? Well, it's very obvious. Actually, before I say that, let me add something else to that. You know, a lot of people's personality, a lot of people's story about who they are is also often built around what they're not. It's like we know who we are by knowing who we're not. And we know who we are by knowing what we don't like and what we don't want and what we're afraid of. And, you know, it's like all these things that we resist add to our story of, are part of our story of who we are. Like, you know, you use any label to describe yourself, of course, then that describes you positively, but it also describes of who you're not. Like, you know, my own identity was very much built around who I was not, what I didn't like, what I didn't find acceptable. And so, you know, I mentioned yesterday that I used to teach political philosophy. And so everything was about what was my position in my own writing and teaching, what was my position and what was the position I was critical of, because that's the nature of academia, and of a lot of discussion. It's like you define your own views and opinions in opposition to what you don't agree with. And that's a subtle form of resistance, you see. So everything you don't agree with is something you resist. Everything that you think you're not is something that subtly you resist because you have an investment into what you are. So there's a resistance to what you're not. Even if it's only very subtle. So when you give up resistance, it's like you give up resistance to all of that, and your experience becomes so inclusive. You know, ultimately, it really includes everything. And that's how it comes to be beyond the duality of experience. It's like when you no longer have an idea of who you are, then everything's possible. And the more the less you resist what shows up, the more present you are. So when you start spotting the resistance, to me, that's a real practice. You know, it's very powerful. It's very effective. You know, you keep doing that, you spot the resistance, you let it go. You give yourself a choice. Do I want to continue resisting, or can I let that go? Well, that is really, that will change your experience quite dramatically. So I think that's where I'll stop now, and I'm just going to see, because I encouraged participation, of course I have to give you space to participate. So I'm going to see what's there on the YouTube channel, whether okay, I'll first check whether anybody's raised their hands. If you'd like to raise your hand now, you can, if you're calling in. And I'm also going to check the YouTube chat line comments. I'm just going to have to call that up again. Okay. So, oh, thanks, Martin. Great to feel the communication with all of you in the meditation. Powerful. Yes, see, we were connected even though we lost connection physically, technically. And Anneke says, yes, it is also freeing to see that resistance itself is already allowed, and not resist resistance, which is more of the same. Absolutely, Anneke. Thanks for adding that. You know, you can get into resisting the resistance. It's like, oh, resistance isn't okay. It's like, you know, you can get into resisting thinking because thinking isn't supposed to be okay, right? So, like you say, it's just more of the same. It's just more resistance. So ultimately, we can let that go too. So just a note to Wendy. Wendy, you need to mute your mic, please. So Mikil, I don't know how to pronounce that. Let's see whether you want to come onto the Hangout. So that's brave. And we'll see whether I can bring you onto the Hangout. The thing about that is that you need to, did you add me to your circles? Because if you haven't, I can't bring you on. But let's see whether I can. Okay. I'm afraid I need your full name because I don't have you in my circles yet. As I said, Mikil, you need to, as I said on the access the page, yeah. Okay. K-O, okay. Korhne. O-O-N. Okay. I'm afraid there are, okay, Michiel, or Michiel, or however you pronounce your name. There are 5 of you on Google+. So what you need to do is you need to add me, Grace Bubeck, to one of your circles, and I will get a notification of that. And then let me just check my notifications. Yeah, I don't have you on my circles. So that's what you need to do to come on. And let me just say to everybody, you really need to read the technical access details for coming on to a Hangout before you ask to come on. Because if you have a name that's not unique to you, I don't know who to bring on. So that's how you need to do it. But let me just see whether I can maybe see your photo. Yeah, you don't have a photo, Michiel. So you really need to add me on Google Plus to your circle, and then I will get a Google notification, and I will add you back onto my circle, my retreat participant circle, and then I can bring you onto the Hangout. But without that having happened, I can't, I'm afraid I really can't do it. So, so we'll have to let that go for now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Michiel and this is good for everybody because if you want to come on, this is what you have to do. Michiel says that he's added healing and awakening to his circles. However, the Hangout is initiated by myself, Grace Bubeck. So in order to bring you on, you have to have me in your circles, not healing and awakening. And really, I can only refer you to that access page with the technical details, because this is where this is explained. And so, Michiel, add Grace Bubeck to your circles. The thing is, it sometimes takes a bit of time before I get the Google Plus notification. So it may not work for this session, but why don't you do that now, and I can bring you on tonight for the other session. I hope that's not too late for you. So I'm wondering, Wendy, is the caller who wanted to call in, does he still have his hand raised? Mm-hmm. Yes. So just to say, whoever calls in from Bakersfield, California, on Skype, he or she is very welcome to raise their hands now, and you can come on to the call, to the session. Okay. Doesn't seem to be the space anymore to come back. Right. So, well, I'm just looking back at the YouTube comments. Okay, so Ramesam says, I guess it is necessary to be clearer about resistance. In life, certain norms of behavior and reciprocal responses are required. Don't you resist misbehavior, immature responses for adult situations? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about there, but what I understand your question to be about is, okay, clearly in that there are certain things that are not appropriate, and where, like, say, I don't know, since you're talking about immature responses, maybe you're also talking about situations where, somebody responds and it's clearly not very, it's not a very considered response, let's put it that way. It's maybe, too emotional or whatever. So when I talk about not resisting, I'm not talking about not being clear with people. And thank you for bringing that up, Ramesan, because it's really a very important point. Not resisting means not resisting that this is showing up, not resisting that this person behaved in a way that's maybe really inappropriate. So, there's two ways of responding, okay? One is in resistance, the other one isn't. So suppose you say something that you say from, just from the truth of your being, and somebody else responds to you by saying, well, you know, how can you say such a thing? You shit, you whatever, you know, it's like, how dare you? And it's like totally, you can see that that person is just reacting to what you said. They're not really hearing you. They're just in their own stuff. So if you resist that, you react back, right? So if you resist it, it's like you hate the way that this person is not understanding you. Or you can't stand it, or you kind of you get angry yourself, or you get disappointed because you really wanted that person to understand you. And so there's a kind of resistance at that level to what that person's response was. Okay, and then of course you will be in that reaction and act from that reaction. When you're not resisting, you just accept, you're kind of allowing for the fact that this person responded as he or she did. And there is then a choice as to how you respond. You know, you may say, well, listen, you know, I really don't feel you've understood me. Or, you know, I just, you know, looks to me like you're just reacting. You know, could you maybe listen and without reacting? Is that possible for you? And then you're responding, and it doesn't come from a place of resistance. If it doesn't come from a place of resistance, there's no physical tension. You can often spot the resistance because not so subtly, or maybe more subtly, at a physical, energetic level, there is a tension, right? There's a contraction. So that's what you want to notice. And then there can be a clarity about something not being okay, or something not being okay for you. But it doesn't come from a resistance. It doesn't come out of that contraction, and it's not a reaction. It's a response that comes from your being. So that's that. Anneke says, yes, I see that there are people who want to come on. I just want to note also what Anneke says: responding to abusive or violent situations from understanding and the love that we are does also include saying no, or interfere or act from that recognition, but without judging the other. Yes, thanks for commenting on that, Anneke. That's kind of part of what I was trying to say. So John Lobozzo has raised his hand on a call, and Sujati wants to go on a hangout. Sujati, I'll bring you on in a minute. I'll come. I'll respond to the call first, and what I need to do is put the phone on speakerphone, so that the people on the Hangout can hear this. So, hello, John.
Where did the red one go?
Hello, John. Are you here?
Wait a minute, I'm back in a minute.
Yes.
Shit. Hello?
Yes, John.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi. I'm in England.
Yes. Hi, John from England.
Nice to speak to you and listen to your kind wise words.
Yeah.
And meditation. Thank you. Just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for coming on and saying that in public. I'm glad you're appreciating this.
Yeah.
It's
We do have a sunny, crisp, clear day.
well, it's actually sorry, did you say you have a sunny, crisp day?
Yes,
Wonderful.
that's fine. Finishing now.
Yeah.
Sun's going down. Yes. Thank you. Anyway, yes, carry on. I enjoyed it so much.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you for calling in. I hope that people on the Hangout are able to understand the speakerphone. I'm holding it right to the mic here. This is my
I'm sorry.
this is my handheld phone, and I'm holding it to the mic so that people in the Hangout can hear it too.
I'm talking through an iPhone, yes, so yes, difficult, but we managed to do things anyway.
Yes, the modern technology is quite wonderful that way. It connects us in all sorts of ways. It's quite miraculous. So thank you, John.
Yes, I just wanted to say something.
Yes,
You
go
lost
ahead.
connection earlier. You lost connection earlier. You had an incident where you closed your eyes and you missed what was happening on the computer.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true.
Ah, okay. And I thought that was quite interesting in the fact that we sometimes and I often tried to be present and missed what the real world is offering or trying to show me. And we can get lost and don't appreciate all of it, even the parts we find unimportant, like Windows Update. Even that is the universe manifesting. Do you agree?
Yes. Well, it's, maybe we don't need to have all that much of an idea of what's important and what isn't. I mean, when you talk about the real world and what is important, the idea is that then there's other things that it's not important to be present to, or that they're not as real. And, like right now, there are kids in the background.
Yeah.
Is that less important than you participating?
I don't have any meditation piece, but I don't need it. I very rarely meditate.
There you go.
Well, I meditate.
Yeah. So thank you, John. Thank you for coming
on.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I hope you continue to enjoy the retreat.
I will, yeah, thanks.
Okay. Bye, John.
Bye.
So I'm putting the people on the call back onto the headset. Okay. So now I'm going to try and bring on Sujati. Let's see whether this works. So Sujati, you should get an invitation on your Google Plus page, the Plus Sujati page. And when you get the invitation, you have to agree to the terms and conditions, and then you click on the invitation, the green camera, and you get a page where you need to agree to the terms and conditions. You click the little box and you click join, and then you come on. So Sujati, I hope you're still there. I don't see you joining yet, but we'll see what We'll see whether you're able to come on. I'll just invite you again. So as Sujati is getting ready to come on, I'm just going to see whether there are any more comments. Yes, Connie Bailey, when there is a strong emotion related to the resistance, I feel unable to let go of the resistance. The best I can do is just feel the resistance and be with the feeling. Yes. You see, when you are willing to feel the resistance, you're not resisting it, right? And then the resistance usually becomes less strong. You know, if you keep being willing to just feel the response that's there, the kind of hardwired response that says no, the more you do that, the less that response will have a grip on you, and the less strong it will become over time. And you know, some things we're probably just hardwired to react to anyway. So the reaction is there, the no is there. But if it's just an energy and it's not resisted, it usually doesn't, you know, it's usually not that much of a problem. And Sujati responds to Connie by saying, "Hi Connie, my experience is that when I'm resisting my resistance, it gets me in a terrible space. Just noticing what I'm resisting to and feeling what's the fear or emotion behind it and having empathy." Oh, yeah, Wendy didn't get around to posting the whole comment there, so it's stopping there. So just noticing what I'm resisting to and feeling what's the fear and the emotion behind it and having empathy means that obviously, you know, the resistance kind of, you take the wind out of the sails of the resistance. And Matthew Irvin says, I'm resisting resistance. Yes, you can get into an endless spiral about resisting. And you know, the moment you notice that you're resisting, that's when there's an opening. Empathy means that obviously. So Wendy, you unmuted your phone, and you created an echo. And Matthew, hello Wendy. Hello Wendy, you need to mute your mic, please. Thank you. Okay. So let's see, Sujati still, oh, there she is. She's come on. Hi, Sujati.
Hi, Grace.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Actually, I didn't have a comment about any of the sessions, but I was just wanting to say hi, and I'm so happy that it's happening and that there are so many people that take advantage of it, and I'm really glad.
Well, thank you for showing up, Sujati. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see you in this kind of context. And you know, the first person to show up is like an invitation for others to show up. So thanks for coming on.
Very welcome. And just to finish my comment about resistance, I really think when there's resistance, and obviously we don't like being resistant, so we really resist it, and we say, I have to be open, and I have to love, and I have to whatever, and then it gets really hard. So basically, it's for me, when I feel resistance, I notice, okay, what's happening, why I am resisting that thing, whatever it is. And then I feel that usually there is some kind of fear, some kind of emotion that's related to it. And it's about protecting myself, protecting me from imagined dangers or from old memories or whatever it is. So when I'm having empathy with this part of me, sorry, there's some noise in the background. When I'm having empathy with this part of me, then I can becoming more gentle with myself, and then okay, I'm resisting because there's this and this, and I'm taking care of it instead of just banging on my head and saying, hey, I'm so stupid or I'm so whatever, you know. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Sujati. Thank you for sharing your beautiful self.
So I'm looking forward to the afternoon sessions.
Yes, me too. And you know, I totally agree. When we stop the resistance, then we can be much more open to actually really taking care of the situation.
Yeah.
You know, because that's when we're not in reaction. That's when we're actually much more in an awareness of maybe what we need to do or what we need to take care of, and at the same time the response will be more appropriate to the situation, because we actually perceive more of the situation as it is, you know, because there isn't the contracted, resisted, narrowed down perception of it.
But it's really easy to get into this I shouldn't resist. And
sure, yes.
More, and then it gets so tight when you're resisting resistance. And,
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, I'm resisting. Good. Okay, what's happening there?
Yeah, great. Wonderful.
So I let you go.
All right, Sujati. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. So we're past the hour. Wendy, I'm just going to check with you. Is there anybody else who wants to come on? Okay. There's a person. I'll just bring you on. Okay, cell phone from New Hampshire. So I'm bringing you on. Your mic is unmuted. Yes, hi. Do you want to tell us who you are? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Tamworth, actually.
Sorry, say that again. I didn't have you on speakerphone yet.
This is Tamworth, Hampshire.
Oh, you know the connection is really bad.
Oh, how about now?
It's a bit better. Yeah. So go ahead.
Okay, let me try this. Well, first I wanted to let you know that when you were having the conversation with Sujati, I couldn't hear any of what that caller was saying, only you.
Oh, yes. You know what? That's right. I need to put the phone on speakerphone so that you can hear things. Thanks for pointing that out to me. Yeah. I'm not a good multitasker. I'm learning the hard way, so I'm really sorry.
Oh no, I'm glad it's you and not me behind all that technology.
So did you have a question? Or did you?
Well, I just wanted to also say something about resisting.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, from some things I've heard from spiritual teachers, resisting is basically saying this should not be happening or this should not have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so when one of the earlier people, you read something from the YouTube, I think,
Mm-hmm.
about that responding, and you talked about responding to someone. So it's like if something happens that we feel should not have happened or should not be happening, we're resisting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so any response is going to be out of resistance, and is really not going to be effective in,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, as compared to accepting that this has happened and there's no way it couldn't have happened because it did happen, and so now I can respond to it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not that it doesn't need a response, but it just doesn't need the resistance. And
Exactly.
then when we find we have to respond to something, sometimes we feel resistance to that, like then it would be, I should not have to respond to this or to deal with this.
Yes,
So
that
then
could
there's
be.
the resistance.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, resistance can show up to anything.
Yes. So I just, as you mentioned, at some point in my life a few years ago, I just realized that how I was resisting everything all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Byron Katie helped me a lot in just realizing that just thinking that this should not happen is crazy, because there's no way it could not have happened because it happened.
Yes,
Yeah.
Byron Katie is very helpful in and in fact, when somebody pointed me to Byron Katie's work, I did worksheets for a few years off and on, because I found them very helpful in
Yeah.
resolving the kind of, you know, the kind of really resisting stuff.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I just tuned in this morning, so I missed yesterday's, and I'm hoping to catch up with it, and I'm looking forward to the program today. Thanks very much for including me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. And I hope you enjoy the rest of today and tomorrow.
Yes, I shall. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, so yeah, my cat's just come in through the cat flap. She's obviously responding to something pretty strong out there. She came running back in. So let me check. I think we'll just stop there. Wendy, are there any more questions? Oh dear, okay. Okay, so Wendy says there's new comments, so I'll just go back to the YouTube. So Wendy says, perhaps as living organisms, resistance is endless. So are the opportunities to notice too. Absolutely. You know, I mean, when you stop resisting the resistance, finding that you resist is just a way, it's just an invitation to let it go. You know, it's like it's an opportunity to liberate yourself from it. So Waking Dream says, what's your take, Grace, on resisting the present moment by going into daydreams? I struggle with this, although I'm never sure what it is that I'm running away from. Very interesting. You know, you may be running away. The thing is, when you go into daydreams, probably there is a very subtle resistance to just being present to what's there. You know, just showing up in your life. And a lot of spiritual people have that resistance. Like, for sure, I was resisting being alive and really showing up in my life for most of my life. I was resisting in other ways, but you know, it's really worth checking that out for anybody who has an interest in spirituality. Checking that out. Am I really resisting being alive? Am I resisting being actually, you know, enjoying this life, like living it fully? And so in any moment where you go into a daydream, probably there is a subtle kind of moving out of evasion of what is present, you know, and it's probably something you don't like. So check that out. Waking Dream. Anneke says that Rupert Spira says great things about it, that on the deepest level, the sense of me revolves around a fear of death and a sense of lack. And A. Mackenzie, is that you, Anouk? So if it is, hi Anouk. Can you be afraid of death and have an anxiety about life at the same time? Totally. We can be afraid of everything, and that's one huge way of resisting. And you know, for some people, actually being fully alive is more anxiety provoking than death, especially for spiritual people. Dennis Chamberlain, between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. Yes, when you're afraid of life and afraid of death, there's no comfortable place. But you know, when you become aware of both, there is a comfortable space, which is your own awareness. So see whether you can find that. Anneke, I do know that spot. I found out it has to do with the identification of being a separate me instead of the ever-present awareness that is always with me, in me, and expresses at me. Yes, that's it. That's the awareness. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I need to give myself time between sessions. Oh, Anneke just added one more thing. Thinking and daydreaming or falling asleep while meditating, she says, are other ways of avoiding the emptiness. Absolutely. Because we cannot be afraid of the emptiness. So, hi Grace, it's Anouk. Hi Anouk. So we'll close this session. If you chanced upon the session on YouTube and you don't know what it's all about, it's part of the Healing and Awakening online retreat. It's a free event, and you can you will find it on the website www.healingandawakening.com. And if you register, you will get the program with the access details so you can still join in. So I'm Grace Bubeck. Thank you to all of you for participating. It's been a lovely session. I love connecting with all of you. And I'll see you back in 40 minutes time for my conversation with John Prendergast. Till then. Yes. Signing out. Bye.